All right, guys. Hi, hello from your favorite teacher, Miss Lofi, or favorite disembodied voice at this point. What we're going to be talking about today in our very first official day of AP virtual school is looking at a little bit of what to expect. Obviously, with AP, the expectations are slightly different to some of your other online classes that you're going to be keeping up with over the course of the next handful of weeks. So I'm going to go through that kind of explicitly with you. Then I'm going to be discussing with you AP Classroom. AP Classroom is something that you guys are all enrolled in starting at the beginning of the school year, but now with our limited ability to contact each other, it's going to become a much more integral resource for you guys in accomplishing what you need to for this class. The last slide, and this is something that's always going to be part of this process, is going to be work to be completed. I want to be as clear with you my expectations of what work needs to be done and when, so that you can organize it and you can make the good, smart decisions about how to prioritize your work overall. So, with this, what to expect? And the two main goals that I have for this class by the conclusion of our virtual schooling, if all things go according to plan, is one, to prepare you for your College Board exam, final exam. At this point, neither have been postponed, so you're going to need to keep that deadline in there as it already is. May 5th is when your College Board exam is going to take place, and I have to readjust the schedule of when this reviewing begins in order to best prepare for that possibility, which is still a possibility. The other thing, of course, is we have one final unit left to get to know. We're going to see here that the final unit is Unit 7. This is going to be our last sector of the economic structure, which is looking at the tertiary or the service sector, and then also urbanization, so looking at the development of cities, which is a relatively more interesting unit in my opinion, but of course I'm a little bit biased because I live in a city. So what we're going to see is that that goal has nothing on there. None of those goals have anything to do with your map quiz. So as far as our last map quiz goes, pretend like it's not there. I don't want you to throw out your map, especially if you finished it or if you've been working on it. Just put it somewhere safe for now, and I will rework it into the schedule once we know more what the future looks like. When it comes to the work to expect here, right? If all goes accordingly, the things that you're going to be expected to do over the course of these handful of weeks is one, read and take notes. That's not any different than what would be expected of you were we together. So you're going to be reading the remainder of the book. It's 2 chapters over the course of 3 weeks. Then you're going to be listening to these lectures, looking at my lectures, taking notes, adding notes, and these should all take somewhere between 15-20 minutes at the most. So keeping that in mind on top of your reading to organize your timing as best as possible. You will, over the course of these 3 weeks, be expected to create some kind of study aid. I will post things for you to be able to work with electronically, or if you want to go with a route that you already have, like a Quizlet or some other kind of one pager, feel free to do so. And then the other item that's going to be kind of a new item is going to be a model, a small model project that you guys are going to be required to do. You'll get more information about that once we get into the unit properly. The last thing as far as work expectations is going to be review activities through AP Classroom. Again, this is something, like I said, that you signed up for technically at the beginning of the semester, and now, or not semester, the school year, and now we're going to tap into it a little bit. Some people already have, and that's totally fine. Again, you'll just pick up kind of where you left off, and that's great, right? It might feel like a lot, and I get that. The thing is that you guys have an advantage over your classmates or your peers, I suppose, because you've already been working with a lot. It's your job to figure out, how does this new schedule work for you? When are you going to sit down and you're going to look at this material? When are you going to sit down and read? When are you going to sit down and listen to the lecture? And this process is important for time management as much as anything else as far as a skill goes. It'll also keep you from freaking out. Use my tips from yesterday. Make sure to check Classroom Daily, reach out to me, and it's not a bad time to take some serious consideration into outside exam prep resources. There's a lot of things out there. Again, the Princeton, the Barron's, you've seen these books in my classroom. They're all out there for you. You don't have to buy them brand new. You can find used ones for really cheap normally. And as long as they're within the last few years, they're very good resources to help supplement what we're going to be working on over the next couple of weeks. All right, moving on. I'm going to talk AP Classroom. So, as I said, the AP Classroom is something that you guys are already part of. In order to sign up for the College Board exam, you had to get yourself an account. And now what we're seeing here is that you got to go back in there. If you forgot or you have decided that you pulled out of it, now you got to get back into it. Login information is there for you. This is going to be the resource for studying for your exam as far as accountability goes. Of course, if you have specific ways that you prefer to study, that's great, but I need to be able to show where you're at and see how this process is going. So the materials that are created through the AP Classroom are going to be the things that we utilize. The other thing that's important to understand about this is that for some of the different things in AP Classroom, you have to have a specific browser. Again, this is the only thing that's new that you have to make sure that you have in order to be able to complete your assignments correctly, and that's a lockdown browser. I've included in this PowerPoint, as well as I'll put onto the directions themselves, the basically breakdown of how do you do that. It's simple. Again, it doesn't matter what device you have, as long as it's an actual device and not a phone, it will work. If you have issues with that, you got to just let me know as soon as possible. Okay. So once you get into Classroom, you're going to see that there are three things basically that are going to be available to you. The first of which has to do with Unit 6 point recovery, which some people have already emailed me about. When it comes to the point recovery, what this is going to be is instead of redoing things, you're going to simply take another quiz, which is, of course, a fancy way of saying a test of sorts. And it's open from now until next week, Friday, 3 p.m. The points that you earn through this process are going to reflect the work that you would have done if you had done traditional point recovery, meaning not everyone is going to earn the same amount of points from this work. What I'm looking for ultimately is that again, the points themselves will be reflective of work put in to rehash information, to look over the information again, so on and so forth. This is not required. This is something that if you do want to get points back in Skyward on your multiple choice, you do have to complete though and submit by next week, Friday, 3 p.m. at the latest. What you do for sure have to work on and complete and submit to me without any option is going to be the Unit 1 and 2 review information that is in Classroom. That's the other two things that'll be open and available to you. These are progress checks are what they're called, but really I'm going to use them like review items. It's a mixture of different types of questions and skills from Unit 1 and Unit 2 that are going to have you kind of thinking and looking back. Between now and Monday at 3 p.m., you have to complete both of these items. It's just multiple choice, but there are a lot of different things that they're going to ask you about as you go forward and you do those sorts of things. For all of the review material that you guys complete in the AP Classroom, I'm not looking for 100% correctness. I'm looking for completion. Of course, the things that you doing correctly or the areas where you're like, wow, I really don't remember that, or things that I'm like, wow, that really hurt my brain as I was trying to remember it. Those are the things that you have to pull out, set aside, and include in your preparations as we go forward. So ultimately, the unit review things I assign through AP Classroom are going to be mostly completion based. So please keep that in mind as you start working here, okay? So last slide that's always going to be the last slide as we go forward, is work to be completed. So at the end of each of these PowerPoints that I give you, I'm always going to have one of these to help you with your planning, because of course there's going to be a lot of different classes with a lot of different moving pieces. So putting it into your schedule or on a checklist, setting yourself reminders, these are the things you have to keep in mind. 1, work to be completed by Monday, 23rd at 3 p.m. Besides just completing the multiple choice questions for Unit 1 and 2 in AP Classroom, You're also reading, starting that process. It's a few more pages than I would normally assign in one go, but this is Thursday. It's not due until Monday, so spread it out accordingly. And then, of course, the other work to be completed, which I'll keep on here throughout all of next week, is the Unit 6 point recovery in AP Classroom. It's a separate quiz that has to be completed on its own, and it'll reflect back the work you would have done. If you have problems, if there are things that come up, please contact me as soon as possible. Again, the thing about a lot of virtual schooling is that the pacing is all in your hands, and that might feel really like awesome, like, oh, I get to decide, I can do this whenever I want. You have to be disciplined in your approach. So please make sure that you are setting yourself time to be able to accomplish everything in a good and easy manner and not stress yourselves out even more, because this is very stressful. After about a week, I'm going to check in with everybody and I'm going to looking for feedback, and then we can make adjustments, because we can possibly make some changes going forward. I can't guarantee a lot, but I like to hear from you guys as far as feedback goes. So please do not hesitate to let me know when you see that process come across. Make sure you're checking Classroom daily. Please stay safe and healthy. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face.